Now, disclaimer before I start this video. I mean no disrespect in any form or fashion. I just have a genuine question with a very opinionated opinion. And that question is, what constitutes a USC legend? And is there any difference between a USC legend and a USC Hall of Famer? Is it about the amount of pay-per-view sales that you managed to generate while being in the UFC? Is it about the crazy wars and the fighting the upper echelon of fighters while being in the UFC? Is it longevity that you've just been part of this company for long periods of time? Or is it ding, all of the above? So this past weekend, UFC 300 has came and went. Amazing build up on the card and even better fights that was on the card. I don't think I dislike any fight that was on that card. But it's one particular fighter that stood above the rest. And his name was Jim fucking Miller. Now, oftentimes the reporters would refer to him as a legend. He's a legend. He's a legend. He fought on 100, 200, 300. And that makes him a legend. And I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking to myself, how does that make him a legend? How does that make him a legend? Longevity does not automatically gain you access to the legend title. It just makes you a good worker. I hate to say it. I know I'm gonna make some people mad with this and upset a lot of people, but when you look at an overall look on Jim Miller's resume, how does it stack up to the upper echelon elite fighters? Jim Miller never been the main event of a pay-per-view. Let that settle in. Let people just sit down and marinate on that. He's never been a pay-per-view main event fighter. He's never. And he's been part of the UFC since 2008. How can Jim Miller be a legend if he lost to the legends? How? Looking at an overall review on his resume, he fought Frankie Edgar, lost. Gray Maynard, lost. Benson Henson, lost. Nate Diaz, lost. Donald Cerrone, he came back and beat Donald Cerrone, but he lost. Diego Sanchez, Dustin Poirier, Anthony Pettis, Dan Hooker, Francisco, Charles Oliveira. He lost on Charles Oliveira, but he did beat him. The beginning of Charles Oliveira, though. He did win against Clay Guida. I give him that. But he lost to Alexander Hernandez, Bobby Green. How can someone be a legend if you lost against legends? You know, let's just sit down and think about it. And people main line of defense with calling him a legend is longevity. Again, longevity does not make you a UFC legend. It makes you a good worker. Because if longevity was such a thing, how come Alex Pereira, I'm probably butchered his name, how come Alex is more of a legend than Jim Miller in a short amount of time? Alex been with the UFC for 2 years. And he's already considered being a legend. 2 belts. Jim Miller never won a belt. How does Jim Miller stack up against the actual legend? He doesn't. Alex Pereira, he actually sold pay-per-views. He actually put asses in seats. I hate to say it like this, but Jim Miller is not a legend. He's a good journeyman. He's a good gatekeeper. If you don't know what a gatekeeper is in combat sports, that's when someone who's the door for a new person to see if they're ready for the next level of competition. That's what Jim Miller is. Again, this is no bash on Jim Miller. I'm just here to say he's not a legend in any form or fashion. And if he is, please let me know on why he's a legend in the comment section. I see you.